Good morning to the reversal of fortunes and joy bestowed upon the land. I am the Mechanicus risen. I am the machine god. I got drones. Yeah, dude, this is a game changer. How well paced is Factorio? It's crazy well paced for a first time playthrough. Just at the point where I was genuinely starting to get annoyed with how much construction we had to do and grabbing resources to make them, right? Whether it was with grabbing gears or whatever and things like that. Frankly, up until this point, I just found it easier in a lot of cases while I was moving between places to just handcraft things. I know that seems like sacrilege to some of you, but it just didn't take that long. For the most part, like you could just whiz out some inserters or whatever while you were doing things and planning positions of where you wanted things to go. And on very rare occasions was I actually actively ever waiting for something to complete. But it had got to the point where I was like, oh, I need more iron plates. I need to go and get some more coggers. I need to get some more miners. I need to go and get this and that. And it was like, they're relatively spread out in my base because I didn't know what I would need. It's my first playthrough. And so it was like, oh, I need steel plates. Okay, go to the box. And basically all I had was a couple of boxes that were just grabbing occasional things passing by to stack them up. And that all changed. That all changed really dramatically, actually. Super dramatically. It requires a lot of infrastructure setup, which we're going to get to. But generally speaking, I unlocked robotics in the science. I finally got my science working again. I made a couple of changes, like making red belt. And I was at the point where I was like, I'm just not even going to use yellow belt anymore. It's fine in some cases if it's a very slow production, but I was like, I just can't be bothered having multiple types of belt. So I'm just going to convert, I'm just going to have a machine making red belt for me. So it made like thousands of it. And I was like, I'll just stack it up and I can get things doing while I was expanding. And at the same time, I'm dealing with a ton of attacks. So I spent the morning like eradicating all the local enemies. That went pretty well, besides the fact that I have definitely begun to spawn monstrous giant bugs that just don't die. So that is the clear indication of like you need stronger weaponry guarding your base at this point. So I took the hint. Yes, okay, I need to do that. I haven't solved that yet because it does. I think it means replacing all of my turrets, of which there is probably several hundred of them, to get it working. And that is going to be a byproduct of the next process. And I think that's what the joy in this game comes from. It's not just the satisfaction of creating a working system and it being like nicely saturated, so it's doing everything you want it to do at a constant pace, but the amount of work that's laid out in front of you to do the next part is like every time you unlock something, it's like, right, now there's like 50 things that I want to get done. I totally imagine on a second and third playthrough that you are so much more aware of what you're going to need later that you can put in ample preparation for that to happen. But obviously you can't at this point, which is why I think a lot of people, especially in the early game that we were playing, were like, you should just restart now, right? You've had an indication of what's coming later, so you should restart the base. I imagine a huge amount of people do that. Is they like, oh, I should have built 8 billion iron cogs. I should have built 8 billion green circuit boards because they're going to be a problem later. And you just didn't do that, and your base is like enclosed, and it's like, okay, now I need to feed resources all over the place to make this work. But I'm not doing that. I'm sticking with it, especially because we're on limited time. There won't be a TDP tomorrow or Friday, by the way. I will not be in. It's my wife's birthday, so I'll be away. But then I unlocked robotics. And I will say, I took a hint from the chat here. It was like, please, God, let him find robotics. Please, God. So I moused over it. It showed me a little video of all these little droney, cutie little boys doing work for me. And I was like, oh. Ooh, what is this? Ooh. So I set to work. Before I did this, though, I did get the other science going before we get to the robots. Pipe work, chemical plants, and new recipes which divide oil into just so many light. It turns it into light oil, heavy oil, then back into gas, and light oil can turn back into gas again. This was an effort. I had to uproot all of my refineries. I had to uproot everything and move it to just a bigger space because I was like, I have no idea how this is going to work. This is so much pipe work to get this organized and functioning that I needed a massive amount of space just to sort of play through it. I then discovered, I think this is controversial, I then discovered that you can just keep all your pipe kind of underground, which is advantageous from a practical standpoint because I was getting very frustrated that my pipes were just preventing me from walking places. I was like, I would do so much to be able to get around this. And you can stick all your pipes underground. I don't like this from a visual standpoint, and I'm not a heretic. I don't like that I can't see the grid of pipework and where it's going, because what you end up with is these little like hubs of oil and fluids and things, and it looks kind of messy. It looks like just these chunks of stuff stuck in the ground. It is far more practical for moving around, for sure. I just don't like it visually compared to seeing the nice, almost beltwork style of like, this is going here, and it goes there, and it goes up there, because you have to mouse over it now to see where it's going. I don't know if there's a way of just having the pipe grid visual, so you know it's there, so you can track it a little easier, because right now there's pipe going all over the place, and I'm like, to backtrack through this, I would have to go over it to it and like mouse over different sections and things. Either way, I don't like it, but I've done it because it's just infinitely more useful. So that makes sense. So I got that working, and I started producing my advanced science, which was great. And then I noticed, as I unlocked more and more, including the robotics, everything now requires green circuit boards. And I don't produce anywhere near enough. Like, not even close. Everything requires green circuit boards. But I did unlock robotics. I was like, I'm getting robotics working. I got it up and running. I got my RoboPort. I had 2 machines that were crafting the robots for me, the construction robots and the logistics robots. Had that working. That was great. And then I was like, how do these work? And it's Wi-Fi. I have to get Wi-Fi running throughout the base. And so the first time I saw them take to the skies to repair my base for me, they were like, the first thing they said is like, we need repair packs. And I'm like, oh, okay, you need repair packs. That's not, I threw some in and off they went. It was glorious. They took to the skies and swarmed around the base. And then later on, I got them to build a bit of wall, and they just appeared and built it for me, and they went and got the resources themselves. I'm still figuring out the chests. The chest system seems a little awkward, I guess I would say. I'm not quite 100% on how this is going to work. So there's red chests, which are like supply chests. So if you put, if instead of putting things in steel or wooden chests, if you put them in these special electronic red chests, you're telling the game that the drones can get the resource from there and do stuff with it. And you can put anything you want in there, which is what we're going to get to next. There's also yellow chests, which are storage chests, because if they're replacing, say, red belt with yellow belt, and I did figure out the blueprint thing where you can just drag and it'll just say, upgrade all this stuff, and they'll just do it. Fantastic. It just upgraded the whole base to red belt, like, on its own. I was like, oh, this is amazing. It needs somewhere to put the yellow belt. And so far in the game, and I don't think this exists given the feedback I've seen, there's no way of deconstructing something back to even a scrap of its original materials. There's no way of doing that. So I'm left with a lot of just old stuff. Fine. So what they'll do is they'll put it in these yellow storage chests, but they become like a mishmash of stuff. So I assume if I was being really sort of pedantic about things, I would want some sort of filtration system to come out of these storage chests to redistribute all of the resources. How would I do it? I would probably have a series of red chests, a belt coming out of the storage chests into red chests, which are filtered with the inserters. That's how I would do it. And then they could go and grab that stuff and utilize it. I wonder if I could then get them to redistribute it to especially if it was ore or something, or coal or something like that, to put it where I want it to be. Not sure about that. I'm really thinking now. I'm really thinking, because I don't want to end up later on with just tons and tons of storage chests that are just filled with all sorts of crap. I might sort that out today, actually, because it is bugging me. Like, these just messy chests that are just full of random nonsense. But either way, I was kind of hoping that we could deconstruct, or maybe even just delete and get rid of these things. I probably can just, like, erase them or leave them somewhere. Make a garbage dump or something like that. I don't know. But this has really changed everything now, because I have personal RoboPorts where I carry my own drones. So I think I could just sort of stand back like this god and just place things where I want them to go, and it'll just construct things for me. And apparently now, using blueprints, I could just copy and paste entire structures, like say a giant mining situation, and just plonk it down, and they'll just build it for me. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, this has led to another issue. The drones can't actually build anything. They place things, right? So if I want to place, say, a miner, I can't just have the raw ingredients ready and available to them, because that would be infinitely easier for me to do right now, is just pick off some copper, pick off some plates, pick off some things, and they would go and build them. That doesn't work. So what I think I need to do today is construct, seemingly the phrase for this is a mall. And I need to build a factory that just produces bits and bobs. It produces assemblers. It produces belts, produces inserters, produces all this stuff. Not for the purpose of going into another system, because I already produce a lot of this stuff, but they're all utilized in some other function, like creating science or something like that. I think I just need to build an enormous factory whose entire purpose is to have a bunch of resources go into it, and from that those resources, they just make, there's one assembler that makes assemblers, there's another one that makes belt, there's another one that makes inserters, and there's another one that makes circuit boards, and there's another one that does this, and it just creates this red chest fiesta full of resources that all the drones can use. And I think I need to do that for practically everything in the game. Yeah. I don't need a lot of them either, because I think I need to set it to make, like, very few, but just to have them on hand for when... I don't need, like, 10,000 assemblers, I don't think. I don't think. I just need the ability to be able to grab the finished products, but I don't need a lot of them. So I'm kind of picturing in my mind what this will look like. Probably something like feeding off Piccadilly train station just into a bunch of furnaces to turn everything into plates. I'm kind of thinking now, like, if I'm always thinking, and I think you guys do too in this game, is like, if I could go back to the start, how would I have changed things? And I think what I do is set up a bunch of, like, furnace plants that just, because I never need raw iron ore, I never need raw copper ore. I would probably build a bunch of furnace plants that just turn everything into plates, and the trains would actually deliver plates instead of the ore. And I could still do that, but considering we dry up patches, I would need to keep rerouting things back to the furnaces. That might be a practical way of doing things. I don't know. That might be a practical... It might be just better to do that and just constantly have the furnaces in the base, because the ore always arrives there. There's so much I would tear up and redo at this point. It's actually insane. I really would. I would tear so much of this base up. I would start fresh, essentially. Although, I think with the drones, here's where I'm torn of what my next steps are. I feel as though investing right now into a proper infrastructure that's constructing everything will ultimately just serve me better for the late game. Because I'll just be able to construct whatever I want on a whim, and just get on with planning more than anything else. Because I still don't know what comes. I haven't found uranium yet, so I know we're going nuclear at some point. But we are kind of running out of time. Wilds is not far away, so I need to double down and get things done. So that's where I'm at. I am the god of the skies. I'm a technological wonder. I now need to make this advantageous to me long term. So I think we're going to build a giant shopping center. I think that's my plan. It's going to make turrets. It's going to make all sorts of stuff. I think. Yeah. It should work. It should work. All right. So that's where we're at. So check in tomorrow to see how that goes. I don't know, because we are constantly getting harassed. My base is not in good shape. But we'll see how that goes. All right. So check in then. I'll see you in a bit. Bye, guys.